The movie begins at a construction site with Clint, a successful contractor, entering his office and calling his wife Joanna. Clint is sad that Joanna is leaving for the weekend but promises to come home early to see her off, though Joanna seems annoyed. As Clint meets a visitor, we see Joanna at home taking a parcel from the mailbox while a dog barks in the background. Clint is later stopped on the road by Sam, the local sheriff, who invites him to go fishing. Clint accepts, mentioning he's free since Joanna is away for the weekend. Afterward, Clint heads home, releasing his dog Duke, who's been yelping in his crate. Joanna is visibly displeased with his arrival, and after some brief conversation, she mentions having a doctor's appointment. Clint informs her that he turned down a $1.5 million offer to sell his business. Joanna, annoyed, suggests that they could return to New York with that money, sparking an argument. Clint reminds her that he moved from New York to build a better life for them, but a dissatisfied Joanna leaves in her blue car. While fishing with the sheriff, Clint confides that Joanna struggles to adjust to their rural life. Meanwhile, it's revealed that Joanna is having an affair with her doctor Cortland. They discuss plans for Joanna to own a clinic with him in Beverly Hills. Cortland, who has extracted a cardiac arrest-inducing toxin from fish ovaries, convinces Joanna to use it on Clint. At home, Joanna finds the poison bottle leaking and hides it in the laundry basket. When Clint returns, Joanna prepares a steak for him, then adds the poison to his wine. At dinner, Clint proposes a toast, unknowingly drinking the poisoned wine. He begins experiencing a cardiac arrest, falls to the floor, and begs Joanna for help, but she watches coldly as he dies. Afterward, Joanna calls Cortland to confirm Clint's death. The next day, Sam and Cortland arrive at the house. Sam, saddened by Clint's sudden heart attack, suggests an autopsy, but Cortland discourages it. Clint's body is prepared for a budget funeral without embalming. Joanna appears remorseful at the funeral, but later she and Cortland celebrate in her bathtub, laughing over their crime. That night, a storm rolls in, and Duke, Clint's dog, senses something wrong. Joanna, irritated by Duke's barking, tries to shoot him, but he escapes and makes his way to Clint's grave, where, to our surprise, Clint is still alive. The poison has worn off, and Clint manages to break through the cheap casket and crawl out of his grave, finding Duke waiting for him. Clint, weakened, returns home, and, to his shock, witnesses Joanna with Cortland. Realizing the betrayal, he hides in the basement to plan his next move. The following day, Joanna meets with Clint's lawyer, discussing the sale of his company. Back at the house, Clint, now hiding, sees Joanna return and narrowly avoids her. He retrieves a gun but drops the shells, alerting Joanna to an intruder. Just then, the sheriff arrives to check on her, mentioning the house sale. Joanna deflects his questions, and after he leaves, Cortland enters. Clint, now armed, considers his options and decides not to kill them quickly. Joanna and Cortland, in a greedy frenzy, finalize the sale, collecting a briefcase full of cash. That night, Joanna becomes alarmed by strange noises and finds mud on the bathroom floor. Panicked, she grabs a gun and heads to the basement, where Clint locks her in and begins boarding up the windows. Meanwhile, Cortland prepares more poison at his clinic, unaware that Clint has returned. When Cortland arrives at the house, he finds Joanna locked in the basement. Together, they attempt to break out, but Clint has remodeled the house into a wooden maze. Cortland, convinced that the sheriff is after them for money, tries to bribe the figure he sees in the shadows, only for Clint to reveal himself. In a struggle, Cortland accidentally injects himself with his own poison and dies. Trapped, Joanna is confronted by Clint, who reminds her of their aborted child and seals her in a coffin-like structure with Cortland's body and the money. He pours gasoline around the house and ignites it, leaving with Duke as the house burns. Sheriff Sam arrives at the scene, finding no bodies. Later, at the cemetery, Sam encounters Clint at his own grave and, realizing the truth, warns him to leave forever. Clint complies, driving off into the distance as Joanna's muffled screams rise from the coffin buried in his grave. Would you recommend this movie to your friends? I will read your comments. Don't forget to subscribe and like. See you later.